Hey, what's up YouTube? My name is Angela. I am pretty new to doing YouTube, but I've decided to go ahead and give it a venture because I feel like I have a lot of knowledge to share with people and other nurses and just in general. So this video is why I decided to not become a travel nurse again. I'm just gonna adjust myself. So let me give you a little bit of background about me. So I am an ICU nurse. I'm a pediatric nurse. I have literally done almost every type of nursing, even though I'm pretty young still for being a nurse. Before I was a nurse, I was a PCA and then a patient monitor. So I started right when I was 18. I got my associates by the time I was 23, and I've been working ever since. I just now paid off my student loan debt this year. So everything I've ever done, I've worked for, and I've never had anything handed to me. So I have had to learn things the hard way, and I think that is usually the best way to learn. Not necessarily the hard way, but on your own, so a little bit about why I did not take a nurse travel contract. So I used to do travel nursing. You're killing me. So this is one of the reasons why I didn't take a travel contract. And that is also another reason why I did not take a travel contract. Because I'm a single mother, and it's hard to make schedules. What I was going to do, because some of the contracts are so lucrative, I was actually going to just pay somebody to come out of town with me if I were to get an RV and homeschool my kids, because it's on virtual. Most of the stuff's on virtual right now, and we will just travel. That was my goal. So I looked into the cost of RVs and like if you have to have a special CDL and how much a loan would be and the interest rate on RVs and how much campsites were, and I just like did all the math, and I was like, man. So anyway, sorry, I keep getting interrupted by my kids. So I was like, man, this is just so expensive. And then there's always the option of paying one of my family members to watch my kids. Then I'd have to be away from them, and I'm like, I don't want to do that either. And then, there's other options, like where am I going to stay? You'd have to stay at a stranger's house, and you could do Airbnb. I mean, you definitely could do a hotel, but the ones that you can afford are just terrible. And I used to be a travel nurse in the past. Like I said, I've done a little bit of everything. I have just pretty much, if you name it, I've done it, except for the emergency room. I haven't done that. So, for example, I've done telemetry, PCU, med-surg, peds, ICU, home health care. You name it, I've done it. So I know the ropes, and I know how to do contracts too. I know the ropes with that too. So what people don't know, if you've never done a contract before, if you're single, it's more like, if you don't have kids, contracts are more of a good idea. But hang on. Right now, what happened to me last year, or I guess it was this year, actually. So when this whole pandemic stuff started, I was an overflow nurse. And before the pandemic started, no, it was last year, the hospitals were full. And there was so much nursing. Oh my gosh, there was so much need. And since I was a floater, I had so many skills. I mean, what I did was I would just pick up where there was a need. So if somebody called off, or they didn't have enough nurses, I just figured it out. Went to the floor and figured it out. And they gave out bonuses. Let me tell you, I was making money, honey. Like great money. Then, and I wasn't even working that much. I mean, I was just like chilling with my kids a lot of the time, like balling, giving out the best gifts, you know. Just like couldn't believe how much God's blessed me. So, then the pandemic happened. What did that mean? That mean that nobody wanted to go to the hospital.
No!
So anyways, then the pandemic happened. And, people were terrified to go to the hospital. Not only that, elective surgeries and things like that stopped. And it was like, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, we went from being packed, like, tons of, like, overtime, like, oh my gosh. And literally within weeks, we were closing units down. Because there was no need. There was no patients. It was crazy. And immediately, I knew my time was up. There was no more overflow. Like, the nurses were getting laid off, and it was time to find a new job. So I did. And then I finally, for the first time, because, you know, once you start making that travel pay, or the overflow pay, the PRN pay, baby, you ain't going back. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm balling. Okay, so, but then I realized that I would have been way more better off having, I mean, I'm glad I did what I did, because it was really, you know, couldn't have beat that kind of money that I was making. Not to brag. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just telling you guys how it is so I can give you some advice. But now, I'm like, I gotta secure, I have 2 jobs. I learned from that it's not ever a good idea just to have one job. You never know what could happen, especially in this economy with them shutting states down and people not leaving. You just don't know, okay? So, and kids quarantining. You got kids, be ready to quarantine. Somebody's gonna get exposed to something, and you might not get unemployment, and it's just crazy. Okay. So, anyways, I realized the value of having a staff job, like just a normal job, and so I do a part-time job. And I get my benefits at that job, and then I do another job through the week, 3 days a week, so Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And so, okay, sorry. So, anyways, when you're making, this is what you gotta think, when you're making the highest pay, and you're making way more than everybody else is making, and it actually makes you puts you as a sitting duck, because you're going to be the first one to go, okay? Like, when you're making less pay, I mean, you're more secure, let me tell you. And so, this year, I was offered a lot of contracts. I mean, gosh, they'll call you out of the woodwork. I mean, just crazy. I got offered $7,300 a week in New Mexico. And anybody would say, dang, girl. Anybody that's not really in nursing or knows travel nursing, they'll be like, oh my God, I'd be all over that. Well, let me tell you, there might be another shutdown. I mean, we're on the verge of it. Everybody knows. The shelves are clear. I'm not saying we are going to have one. I don't know. But I'm just saying that you don't know. And so, guess what? A lot of if you don't disclose in your contract, you can get that contract canceled at any time. Literally, anytime. So, unless it's in your contract, sometimes they can cancel you for, you know, with a 2-week pay, or, I mean, it's a risk. It's a risk. And you could get fired. I mean, if you do something wrong, or if they find something that you did wrong. I mean, so, I'm not saying that they'll look for reasons, but I'm just saying you're the first person that when you're getting paid $7,300 a week, and the other person next to you is getting paid like $200 a shift, who's going to be the first person to go? You are. The one that's making a bunch of money. So, yeah. Another thing is that I found when I did travel nursing was Like, okay, you go, let's say you just get unexpectedly canceled, okay? Not ready for it. Then you have to find another contract. You might have to relocate. Um, you might go with a different agency, so then you got to get a background check. And unless you have things like lined up, unless you have like a manager or a spouse or somebody that like does this for your, like for you, like you're gonna lose work. You might lose a couple weeks of work, 2 or 3 weeks of work. I remember I couldn't find a good contract for like a month, and that's when I realized it's not worth it. Even though I made all that extra money, I was losing all this money trying to find another contract and getting background checks, and it was just not worth it. And I was like, no, I feel like too, another thing is when you're a traveler, like they're going to have their staffs back over yours. Like they have their buddy systems, and like you might get a crappier assignment load because maybe the people that made the assignment, they don't know you, so they're gonna give their friends better loads. Like you're gonna get, it's like restarting all over in a new facility, which is a big hassle, and you don't know the doctors, you don't know where the stuff is. It is very uncomfortable. Now, that being said, when this pandemic stuff is over, hopefully it's over soon, until I know that we're like done, and we're not, people aren't getting it and everything else, I will not consider doing travel nursing ever again. And not to mention, what it's like to be in another state and your family is in another state and you're seeing on the news that they can't leave their house, or the stores are empty, or like you want to be around your family when things are hitting the fan. That's scary. And you don't want to be away, and you don't want to be trapped in a truck area, a RV stop, or whatever, wherever you're staying. You don't want to be stuck. And then, so that's why I decided to not do travel nursing. And I won't do it anytime soon unless I'm like extremely desperate. The money's good. The money's great, especially if you know how to negotiate and work with different agencies, and know how to write your contract properly and get your money right, and have some experience. It's a really good, it's really amazing that you can make that much money so quickly, and it is real. You can make crazy money like that. But just remember, it's not all what it's cracked up to be. So I hope my advice helped and you guys learned from this, and all my other fellow nurses and medical peeps out there, thank you so much for your service and your duties, and your willingness to put your lives on the line. We are a special type of people, and I don't think the public really knows what we go through, and it's really crazy. It's just been lots of tears, lots of happiness, lots of unknown. I mean, this has just been the worst year of my life, but I'm still trying to be positive. I think everybody can probably relate to that. But let's just hang in there, guys. As it keeps going on, I feel just way more confident in my God. And I should always trust in God, but we're human, right? Like when we see things happen in the news, and oh my God, you just freak out, right? But don't freak out. Trust God. God bless y'all. Thanks for watching.